Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Just As TV. Thanks for stopping by. I know I'm late on this one, but I really wanted to have a discussion because this topic really hit home from it struck a nerve. I'll say that. It struck a nerve with me, and I really wanted to get you guys' thoughts on it, your comments, your feedback, and I had some questions. So let's get right into it. So this, as you can see from the thumbnail, is the discussion that Monique had on Life on the Road with Bernie Mac, hosted by Janice. I don't know how to say the last name, McGlaw. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Forgive me if I'm butchering your last name. And she is Bernie Mac's daughter. Right. So the issue really, they had a discussion. They did a sit down. And one of the issues that kind of like struck a nerve with everybody across the internet was the fact that this woman constantly calls her husband daddy. Online, everybody. And I'm just like, okay. So now I watched the whole interview. If you haven't watched the interview, go back and Google Life on the Road with Bernie Mac and the Monique series, because she does a bunch of ones. She did one with Cedric the Entertainer. So she did a few with the comics that were on the road with her dad. So her and Monique is sitting down having a conversation. Now, when Monique discusses her experience on the road with Bernie Mac, I felt like it was authentic. I really enjoyed that conversation that she had about Bernie Mac. You can tell that she was invested. It was like happy place for her. It felt like the old Monique that we know and love so much. The Parker's Monique, that Monique. It literally felt in the interview. I could see it radiating through my phone on that interview. Like, she enjoyed the conversation. She was herself. She was comfortable with the topic, discussing the memories that she shared with Bernie Mac, that he protected her, that he gave her a lot of advice. He did and said some things which I was just like, oh wow, this is great information. So I could tell that it was a genuine conversation, and she feels how she feels about Bernie Mac. Like, she genuinely loves Bernie Mac. I felt that. So then she starts to talk about her situation with her husband, Sydney. She talked about a couple of topics. She talked about her and her husband. She talked about her Netflix special. She talked about just a few things. So she constantly, what I noticed during the whole interview, she constantly refers to her husband as a king. She constantly refers to her husband as her teacher. She stated something very controversial, that, he raised her. She was a 13-year-old woman living in a 35-year-old body. She had all this money. She didn't know, like they say, who gonna check her boo, things like that. And I just kind of, I felt that those statements are sending the wrong message, but I'll get into that later. So then, she talks about the deal with Netflix and how that, the blacklist went. So, there was a few things. Let me just get into it, right? So her husband, Sydney, he's an actor and a producer. When I looked him up, he was affiliated with the Blackbird, that was done in 2014, and Interwoven, that was done in 2016. I haven't seen any other affiliations with him. She speaks about the time when she was blackballed and how it was an eye-opener for her. So she talked about when she got blackballed, it allowed her to spend time with her family, learn herself, do things that she hadn't done before, even with her family. And for me, what I took away from that aspect of their conversation was that she just had the time now, being that she wasn't always working, and it allowed her to learn herself and her family. It allowed her to discover her likes and dislikes. And it also allowed her more time with her family, essentially to reflect on their relationships, to develop their relationship, to build their relationship, to spend quality time with her children, and things of that nature. So those were some of the takeaways. She kind of touched a little bit on the fact that women nowadays are looking for six figures, to people with like 6-figure commitments and with no conditions, and I was just like, let's unpack that for a little bit. That we were conditioned to look for that. That's what pretty much what she said. We were conditioned to look for that 6-figure man, whatever, right? And let's unpack that for a little bit. I feel like that statement was incorrect. I don't feel like Black women were conditioned to look for a 6-figure man or relationship or whatever. I feel like traditionally Black women always struggled because a lot of them were all single mothers. They were from after the plantation. These men would walk out on their responsibilities, which left these mothers single, so they were struggling. So they, and these women are used to seeing their moms, their grandmothers do everything it takes to take care of them all by themselves. So I feel like, in a sense, that's creating that struggle that we're so used to. And in 2023, a lot of women are coming into their own. They are moving away from struggle love. They're moving away from struggling in a relationship. They're moving more towards independence and the things that we were taught back in a day when we had to settle, when women didn't have as many rights as they do now. We are moving away from those things. We're not in a time or a space or a place where we need a man. We're kind of in the time and a space right now where we want you. And if you don't want us, then that's fine. We are okay with being single. So I don't think that statement was correct. And I think that it was sending a wrong message. Women want more out of relationships and commitments now. And back then, in the 40s, they did plenty of movies. Look at the rate of Raisin in the Sun. Like, they did so many movies, and you can't do a movie without like some sort of truth, where the guys were, I'm going out to get some milk and never come back, or they got cousins and sisters and brothers that live up the road because their dad would leave their house and go up the road and be with the lady up the road, so they don't even know they got a brother and sister up the road until the funeral. Those are the things that we were living in back in the day. So she kind of like touched on that. And I'm just like, ma'am, I don't know what world you're living in, but that's not the world we live in. It is what it is. And I would just appreciate if she take us out of the group chat. Like, I don't care what you call your husband in the privacy of your own home, but I don't want you to be calling him on this Beyonce's media, social media platform daddy. I don't want to hear you call your husband daddy in every interview that you do. I mean, it's gross. I don't want to hear it. Whatever you call him behind closed doors, that's what you do. That's your business. I don't care. I just don't want to hear it. I mean, but whatever. And then she discussed the fact that she felt like he raised her because her dad left her and she was stuck in this place and time. And that works for you, but that gives off, to me, pimp mentality. Because if you feel like you're a 35-year-old, a 13-year-old in a 35-year-old body, with all of this money, you don't know what to do with it, and then some grown man comes and he's talking to you this way and teaching you how to be a woman, first of all, how did you grow yourself up if you didn't know how to be a woman? How did you reach 35 if you didn't know how to be a woman? I mean, there's things in life that you don't know how to do as a grown-up, because I had to teach myself, in the big grown age that I am, I had to teach myself self-care. And when I mean self-care, it's not like, oh, I'm getting my nails done, or oh, I'm getting my hair done. No, I had to teach myself, like, girl, take a bath. Not saying I wasn't taking a bath before, but I mean, like, take a bath and relax. smell good, like exfoliate my body, like things like that. I had to teach myself, like, it's okay to take a deep breath and take a step back and just breathe. Those are the things that I had to teach myself, and I felt like I lost that in a time frame that I'm taking care of my children. So people can't teach you to be a woman. A man can't teach you to be a woman. A woman can teach you to be a woman. A woman can't teach a man to be a man. A man has to teach a man to be a man. We can put those characteristics in them, but to actually teach them how to do it, it's not, you can't teach the opposite sex because you don't know. You base things off of what you like and what you dislike in the opposite sex. So that's what you're going to teach. No, he's teaching you how to be his woman. He's not teaching you how to be a woman. You did that on your own, growing up yourself. Your grandma, you was around your grandmother. In an interview, she said she was around her grandmother a lot. She respected her grandmother. But your grandmother had instilled some of those things in you because you claim in the interview that you had these conversations with her. So your grandmother helped raise you to be the woman that you had become by the time you met him. He's teaching you how to be his woman, not a woman. A man can't teach you how to be a woman because he's a man. So that's why I'm telling y'all it's a wrong message. So then she discusses how her husband Sydney, and they initially got the Netflix offer, and the offer was like really, really low, but Sydney supported her through it. That's what a husband is supposed to do. And then she explained that, that they wrote the Netflix special together. Like they wrote the jokes, they prepared and all of that stuff together. And I'm like, ma'am, if you go back, a lot of people didn't like that Netflix special. I watched the Netflix special and I was just like, this is crap. This is not the Monique that we are used to. The jokes were just like, they weren't even really jokes. She really was talking about him. Like all she does now is talk about him and their relationship, and nobody wants to hear that. I've seen Monique live. I've seen Monique on Netflix specials, several Netflix specials. I've seen Monique when she went to Madison Square Garden. I went to the Queens of Comedy. So because I love some more. I loved, I forgot all of their names, but there was a few. But when they was doing those Queens of Comedies tour, I went to go see them in Madison Square Garden when they came to Madison Square Garden. I went to go see them when they were at Apollo. So I seen them live. I know what they can do. And those jokes, literally, I feel like he wrote them and she just said them. And a lot of people did not like that Netflix special. It wasn't just me. It was a whole bunch of other people. People all over the internet was talking about it was in poor taste. They didn't like it. They didn't like her references. They didn't like her jokes. It was just... So we knew that it wasn't just her who wrote those. We knew he helped her out. But it's okay. So then she goes to discuss that, she goes on to discuss her relationship with her grandmother, that she really loved her grandmother. And then, when her grandmother encountered her husband at the time, he had met her, they went out, he took her out or whatever. They all went out and they were getting back in a car, and he opened the door for her and he lifted up and put it in a car. And you know what her grandmother said? That token phrase that we always hear. He's a good man, Savannah. So what does that tell you about her grandmother? That right there, that phrase, when she said those words, that right there spoke volumes to me. Because her grandmother, and then her grandmother then she tells us that her grandmother proceeds to tell her the best thing that ever happened to her when she got divorced was the fact that she never got married again. What does that tell you? It literally, she contradicted herself. Throughout the whole interview, I was just like, that old school ideologies from start to finish, it's just ridiculous. And I feel like what works for you might not work for everybody. So stop pushing your husband on everybody. We don't care, ma'am. We don't care about Sydney. We don't want to see him in all your interviews. Nobody likes him. The people in the industry don't want to they don't want to work with him. Like, sit him on the shelf, ma'am. Get us out the group chat. We don't care about your daddy. Girl, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. She called black women hateful. And I'm just like, nobody's not hateful. We just don't like y'all. don't like y'all. We're not hateful. We don't like y'all. And we don't want to see y'all. And we don't really care. We don't care enough about your husband, about what he's teaching you. We don't care enough, man. We don't care. Literally, we don't care. So the question I had that I really wanted to pose to you guys was, why are all of these affluent people, you know, i.e. Monique, Tyler Perry, these preachers, why do they keep coming for black women? Just leave black women alone. We don't want to be bothered. We want to live our life in peace without y'all telling us what to do in life. If we don't want to settle, we don't have to settle. If we don't want a man, we don't need a man. Like, leave us the F alone. Leave us alone. If y'all want to date white women, we don't care. Do you? You understand? Like, we don't care. Leave us alone. Let us live our best life. Let us succeed the way we want to succeed. Let us accelerate the way we want to accelerate in our own flesh. Stop telling us what to do. Stop telling us to settle. We don't have to take a man that just could pay for the light bill. Like, none of that shit. None of that shit. We don't got to do none of that shit. So stop telling us what the fuck to do. Anyway, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you watched the interview with Monique. And let me know what y'all think. I'm going to try to see if I can insert the clip of what she said about him raising her and she was 13, living in third. I'm going to see if I could insert it, but I just don't want my video to get flagged. But just comment down below and let me know what you think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Don't listen to no black man. A lot of us have been taught black man can't give you nothing. Black man can't do nothing for you. And he got to be a six-figure, what they call him now, high quality. Or got to have a man of integrity. You got to have a man of honor. You got to have a man that's unconditionally going to love you through. For me, my husband loved me through my mental illness. Loved me in a way, baby, that no one on the face of this earth has ever loved me. Now, my grandmother Mimi, she loved me in a way that I could do no wrong, which didn't help me to mature. He's raising me at all these hats. And a lot of black women would say, why do you call him daddy? Because he's raising me. He's raising me. My father probably stopped giving me what I needed when I was around 13 years old. So now you got a woman that's 13, and now I'm 35. And now I got a bunch of money, what we consider to be a bunch of money. Let me just be real clear about that, okay? Now I got this money. Now I'm taking care of everybody. Who gonna check me, boo? Who gonna make me grow up? But when that man, when we were just best friends and when we got together, this is what he said to me. He said, when we were best friends and you were married to other men, you were not my responsibility. You were my sister, but not my responsibility. As my wife, you are my responsibility. And there are certain things that will not be tolerated, will not be accepted, my husband has never raised his voice to me.